And now joining me here on March Madness Men's Basketball, Joe Lunardi, ESPN's bracketologist, the original bracketologist, the founding father of bracketology, and my good friend. Joe, so we are talking here the week of the top 16 reveal. So that's at the top of the bracket. We'll find all that out on Saturday and see how applicable it'll be in less than a month. I want to talk about some sort of the back part, which is obviously a lot of interest in the back part of the bracket. So I want to use Rutgers as an example. I've been beating this drum on Big Ten Network. Rutgers has 6 quad one wins, which will ultimately be, even if they don't get another one, that will be more than a lot of other large teams to have 6 quad one wins. Now they've got 3 albatross type losses on their back of Lafayette, UMass, and to some extent DePaul. And those were way back in November. And we know body of work and every game matters. But at what point do you look at a team, assuming they can keep their head above the water? They got 9 Big Ten wins. So I'm going to say, let's say they win at least 3 more games. So they're 12-8 in the Big Ten with quality Big Ten wins, not all at the bottom. I mean, quad one, they'd at least have another one. So 7 quad one wins. What do you do with a team like that, that has a great resume quad one, and really from mid-January on, what do you do with them?
I think that's an easy one, actually. If that's really the resume, 3 weeks from now, 3.5 weeks from now, when they gather the committee, Rutgers will absolutely get in. There's little doubt in my mind. It's almost immaterial what the numbers are at that point, because the resume will be head and shoulders above most, if not all, of the bubble teams in kind of their comparison group. Now, maybe, I don't have them in yet. In fact, I don't even think I have them first 4 out quite yet.
No, you had them next 4 out.
Imagine being at, correct,
right,
but rapidly climbing, right? And at some point, you know, look, if we were to talk about, and I know where this is going, you know, I was at the Rutgers-Michigan game at the RAC, okay? They were clearly better than Michigan that night, and they may be better than Michigan, period. Yet right now I've got Michigan in a group ahead of Rutgers. And the question, how could that be, right? And let's just say, hypothetically, I was at a Super Bowl event last night, and there was a Rutgers guy at the event. So you know what I heard for 3 hours? I don't even know who won the game. Okay. But, you know, I said, just give it another week or two. Because right now, like if somebody has a net of 30 and another team has a net of 40, that becomes kind of a distinction without a difference. But if it's 30 and 85, kind of like what the range is now, it then causes committee person to go, why is that? And then you see things like Lafayette and UMass, admittedly on the road, right? But you know, I've seen UMass, they're not great. I've seen DePaul this week, they're not great. So, but to me, Rutgers just did the one thing that can erase all that, and it's a huge road win, right? Like if they played the East Regional at the RAC, this team would be in the Final Four every year.
So, and I agree with you. And I think also what we have to watch is, so this week they play Illinois and Purdue. You know, one's at home, one's at road. I wouldn't be shocked, obviously, if they lose both, but I also wouldn't raise the panic flag if they lose both, because those are clearly the 2 hardest remaining games they have. So that's a good example of Rutgers that got to wait. And Steve Peichel has done a great job of, hey, it's March 13th, not February 13th or whatever. Let's just take it, you know, slow. And I agree with that. All right, so let me flip that around. North Carolina. At this moment in time, and things could change with what their teams do, but as of this weekend, they were winless in quad one, 0-7. On North Carolina's good days, they look like an NCAA tournament team. On their bad days, which there have been many, they get blown out. So, like, how do you judge a team like that?
Well, I'm going to say, in a way, the same thing about Carolina, but with a much different resume perspective. If things stay the way they are, there's also no doubt in my mind that Carolina will be in the tournament. In fact, let's just have fun right now and say that at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, the 15th, we're going to have a first 4-game Carolina and Rutgers at the UD Arena in Dayton. I think people would watch that game.
Yes.
I would watch that game. Hopefully not with the Rutgers guy. But, when I look at Carolina, I do think that, look, people get sick of hearing resume talk, right? This is about basketball. It's pretty lopsided, right? Like it tilts way to the right-hand side of the sheet because they got nothing on the left in quad one. But then they haven't lost any other games, right? Like last time I looked at the exact breakdown, they were undefeated in quad 2, 3, and 4. And there's something to be said for that, right? And you're right. Eye test wise, and I've never will be, strike it from the lexicon, eye test person, right? Like we play games for a reason and they keep score. So my argument on, but that team has 3 lottery picks, is always, well, why didn't they win more games? Right? Like, it's not a hard, but forget about that. Like, Carolina's going to do just enough to get in. I suspect they'll be above the first 4. Rutgers, to me, is a perfect first 4 kind of team because their resume is going to be checkered. Now, they could play through that and move above it at the Big Ten tournament. Like, they could move up 2 seed lines in 36 hours.
Yeah. Hey, what if they beat Illinois and Purdue this week?
Oh, well, if they beat Illinois and Purdue next week, you're going to call me next week and, I don't know, ask me about Minnesota or something. But, Carolina's the ACC, in my anecdotal observation over the years, has an extraordinary way of having games go exactly as they need to get bubble teams in. And that's not a conspiracy theory. I don't believe in any of that. I just have noticed it. And they've got teams, Miami, Wake, Carolina, Virginia making a push here.
Notre Dame.
Virginia Tech has good numbers. Notre Dame, we were talking about, 3-2 ACC bids, whatever it is, they're going to get 5.
All right. So last thing
6.
I want to I agree with you, John. Last 2 teams.
I'm not saying that's how I would do it. I'm
Right.
just saying that's what history tells me is going to happen.
So last 2 things, and I think I know we agree on this, but I want to hear it from your lips. Good example of like BYU versus Memphis. Okay. Memphis, as we're talking here, won 5 in a row and they beat Houston, the best team in their league. Okay.
On the road.
On the road. BYU hasn't come close to Gonzaga so far, lost at home to San Francisco, and is in a bit of a tailspin. Had to basically, they lost, I think, the Pacific, and they had to go overtime to beat LMU. And while their numbers say, hey, not bad, at some point, you got to beat the teams that are going to be in the field from your league. And to me, it goes back to the Penn State, Nebraska example in the Big Ten a few years ago. The year the Big Ten only got 4. Penn State, Nebraska finished 5 and 6 in the league, had winning records. And at the time, Tim Miles and Pat Chambers were like, hey, wait a minute, we finished top 6 in the Big Ten. How can we not be in?
That gets us in. Right.
Problem was neither team beat a team above them. All their wins were below them or against each other, like all. And at some point, you have to beat the teams that are going to be in the field. And so if you were to give me Memphis and BYU, looking at them together, I'd say Memphis in, BYU out, even if the numbers point to BYU. Your thoughts?
And at this very second, as we speak, I have BYU as the last team in and Memphis as the first team out. So, like, in a way, we're agreeing in that they're that close and clustered, right? I body of work, we could, there's no wrong answer, right? This is why, all of us who do this, reasonably well go 67 for 68 every year, right? Because like that last couple, it really is a coin flip. And I like, if the real bracket came out today and it was Memphis instead of BYU, I would not pitch a fit.
Well, and I'll tell you,
because
my bracket at the beginning of this week, and obviously I'm a poor man's Joe Lunardi, if anything.
But you're very
no, I had that the reverse. So I had Memphis. I had Memphis in my first four, and I had BYU as the first team out.
Yeah, and I get it, and clearly,
and in large part because of the Houston win.
Yeah, and I get it. I was looking more at the aggregate with BYU and consistency and away from home and all that. Look, BYU goes to St. Mary's on Saturday night. Okay, they need to win to stay in. That's the way it should be, right? Mm-hmm. And both of these teams are so close. What happens, if Northern Iowa wins at Loyola yesterday, and they did not, but they would still have the Valley's AQ, and then Loyola, if they're still an at-large on the board, and most people still would have them there, maybe double-digit seed, but well, that's a spot, right? And somebody grabs it from them. Or the reverse is true. Houston losing to Memphis gave SMU the AQ as the co-leader tiebreaker, and that bumps somebody out. Yep. So, we don't know what's going to happen this now to Chattanooga and Murray State and Davidson and whomever. Is there an Oregon State or an Oregon in the Pac-12? There's a tournament that the last few years on Saturday night is the latest, sneakiest bid thief of all. There's no greater bid thief when everyone's asleep, right? And the fan bases wake up on Sunday morning and go, what did that idiot Lunardi do overnight? Where's my team? Well, it didn't have anything to do with me. Blame, Trest Tinkle or whomever.
He was the year before. Anyway, Joe, I appreciate it.
Whatever.
We will be, I'm sure, discussing this over the next month. And as always, you're going to be,
you're
like
the best.
You said, you're going to be 67 of 68, if not 68 of 68. Book it.
I hope you're right. From your lips, and stay well, stay safe, my friend.
All right. Thank you.